Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us of Week 5, Cybersecurity Leadership, Creating a Culture of Security Awareness, continuing our 2025 discussion on cybersecurity resilience. Before diving in, let's quickly recap the previous sessions and how they build up to today's discussion. Week 1, where we identified key cybersecurity priorities for 2025. Week 2, where we explored some emerging cyber threats, attacks, and vulnerabilities. Week 3, where we discussed building resilience, emphasizing incident response planning, zero trust frameworks, and the operationalization of endpoint security. And week 4, where we focused on proactive threat mitigation. Today's focus of cyber resilience, protecting what matters in 2025, shifts from technology and technical defenses to leadership and culture, because cybersecurity is not just about firewalls and encryption, but it's also about people, behaviors, and mindset shifts. So as a discussion starter for today, I want you, our listeners, to think about one cybersecurity habit you have changed in the past year or decade that has significantly strengthened you and your organization's digital safety and resiliency capabilities. So why cybersecurity awareness matters? And that's really because the growing human risk factor. Over 95% of all cybersecurity incidents originate from human error, whether that's clicking on phishing links, using weak passwords, or misconfiguring some type of technological infrastructure component. It causes a large majority of our issues. We also need to look at cyber criminals exploiting trust more than technology. So we continue to see the manipulation of people through social engineering attacks, deep fake impersonations, and business email compromise scams. Recent cyber attacks have shown that even sophisticated companies with strong technical defenses fall victim to simple human mistakes, costing millions in damages. We need to look at what we can do from a culture over compliance standpoint, because again, although we can put in place a defense in depth solution, if a large majority of cyber incidents continue to originate from human error, we need to treat cybersecurity as an ingrained cultural value versus as a compliance checkbox. So when we look at what's, with the advent of the technological advances that we're making, what's not working? And we see that awareness campaigns oftentimes fail when they are too technical, because cybersecurity needs to be embedded into our daily business operations, just like workplace safety, quality, innovation, etc. We often need to help leaders move from a punishment model to a learning model. So don't click phishing emails to here's how you actually recognize social engineering tactics, and let's reward and reinforce the learning and the correct identification of the recognition of those tactics in many ways. So we want to reward, we want to recognize, and we want to reinforce in a multimodal model the advances that our organizations are making in this area. We also want to help identify via the promulgation of a real-world case studies on breaches, data leaks, and then maybe put out a success story for our organizations to understand what are some examples of what's occurring in the cybersecurity infrastructure, what the impact is, and then how can we turn the corner to create greater success through building a cybersecurity conscious workforce. So there are plenty of examples of global corporation breaches that are involving this deep fake frauds. There are multiple examples of data leaks that are causing unauthorized access to sensitive information. And there are many, such as AmeriSourceBergen, who has implemented gamified and role-based cybersecurity training so that they saw a 70% reduction in phishing susceptibility, and also led to increased participation and a strengthened security awareness program. So we want to build on the successes that are occurring out in our ecosystem so we can better stop the data leaks and other social engineering frauds that are occurring. Now, how do we build on a cybersecurity culture that amplifies success? And we can do that through creating cybersecurity or integrating cybersecurity as a business priority. So we want to treat cybersecurity as a core business function. We want to lead by example, right? So when the leader can set the tone of cybersecurity awareness, other employees, staff, and personnel will follow suit. We want to make sure they're following security policies. We want to make sure that they're strong practices and they're being made visible and they're being complied with from the top down. We want to make sure that we're integrating cybersecurity all through our business functions. That starts with strategy. That starts with creating targets and OKRs and KPIs and metrics to help us measure what's working and what's not. We don't want to just have it be an IT issue. We want to bake it into all aspects of our strategy. And we also want to encourage open communication, recognize and reward good cyber hygiene, and integrate cybersecurity into our business decision making. So employees should feel comfortable reporting security threats without fear of blame and retribution. We want to encourage employees who follow best practices and spot potential threats and reward them. And we want to make sure that every business strategy is reviewed for cyber risks before we operationalize and move out on those initiatives. We can also create a cybersecurity leadership playbook. So what are some practical steps for executives to embed security into corporate culture? How can we create risk-based decision models so that leaders can better evaluate the security risk in their financial and operational planning? And then we can create a boardroom cybersecurity readiness checklist so that CEOs, CFOs, and C-suite leaders can best ensure cyber resilience is baked into their operational area. So who should be responsible for the cybersecurity culture? Everyone. But ultimately, it starts with you as the CEO, and or business leader. What else do we have to put into place? And that's really strengthening our security awareness. And some strategies are to ensure that you have cybersecurity champions. You can train select employees to really be cybersecurity advocates. You can host monthly cyber hygiene challenges and recognize employees who regularly update passwords, report phishing emails, and or use multi-factor authentication. You can host cybersecurity awareness days. Maybe those are held quarterly, etc., but they could be dedicated to live hacking demos, cybersecurity panels, interactive exercises, etc. And or you can ensure you have frequent engaging training, moving beyond boring annual compliance courses to interactive and ongoing learning. Again, you can harness gamification and simulations because employees retain information better when training includes real-world phishing simulations, escape rooms, and or role-based scenarios. You can harness role-specific cybersecurity training for tailoring to executives, HR, finance, IT, and the general workforce. You can implement micro-learning modules so that short scenario-based cybersecurity lessons are delivered in 5-minute sessions to reinforce cybersecurity awareness and or operationalize training in these short chunks. So what do you feel from a cybersecurity awareness has worked best in your organization? Is there something you can double down on? And last but not least, we want to be looking at long-term cybersecurity resilience. So making cybersecurity awareness a habit. We want to treat cybersecurity like we do our physical safety drills, frequent, interactive, and evolving. We want to establish quarterly cybersecurity simulations to train employees on incident response, ransomware mitigation, and phishing recognition. And we definitely want to encourage a see something, say something security policy because employees should feel empowered to report anything they feel is suspicious without retribution. So we want to support an incident reporting culture because many breaches go unreported because the workforce fears punishment. We want to move from a place of blame to a culture of blameless cybersecurity reporting because it encourages early detection and fast responses. And then lastly, we want to leverage AI for greater cybersecurity awareness. Not only can AI be used to create adaptive learning platforms that customize training for our specific roles and users based on past behaviors or a learning model information, it allows for real-time security assistance that can flag risky actions and guide our workforce to make better security choices. And lastly, it can be used in a predictive manner to identify human vulnerabilities before attacks actually occur. So look at what you have implemented, especially within the training area, and understand how can AI help what you've put in place for your workforce and executives that can be more effective than your traditional and prior models. So again, cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. leaders and workforce, and you as the CEO and or the executive team must actively model security behaviors that works to operationalize greater cybersecurity resiliency. Engaging and continuous training is far more effective than only relying on outdated compliance models. And a proactive security culture significantly reduces the risk of cyber attacks. So what's one cybersecurity awareness initiative you can start implementing this week? Because we want to learn more about how your leadership practices not only have worked best in your organization, but how others in parallel industries or within our entrepreneur, solopreneur, medium or large size organization can leverage your best of the best to help them get better and more resilient. This is Dr. Rhonda Farrell, the founder of CSTGIA, closing week 5 of Cyber Resilience, Protecting What Matters in 2025. Join us again next week, where we explore more topics of interest to this phenomenally important area.